The incredible journey of Jonah, prophet who tried to run from God. Jonah wasn't just any guy, and he was a prophet. That meant he had a direct line to God, receiving clear instructions and passing them on to the people. Pretty intense, right? One day, God gave him a mission that was bold and uncomfortable. Jonah, go to the great city of Nineveh and tell them to stop their evil ways or I will destroy them. Now, Nineveh wasn't just far away. It was infamous. People there were known for being violent, cruel, and completely disconnected from God. Jonah, being from Israel, probably saw them as enemies who deserved judgment, not mercy. And deep down, he knew something about God. If those people repented, God would forgive them. That thought didn't sit well with Jonah, so instead of obeying, he chose a different path, the path of escape. Without wasting time, Jonah headed down to the port city of Joppa. Imagine him walking briskly through the crowd, eyes scanning for the fastest way out. He found a ship about to sail for Tarshish, a far-off place in the opposite direction of Nineveh. It was as far as you could possibly go in that world. Jonah bought a ticket, boarded the ship, and probably exhaled in relief, thinking, "Finally, I'm out of here. No preaching, no Nineveh, no problems." But Jonah was forgetting something crucial. You can't run from God. While he tried to hide below deck, wrapping himself in silence and shadows, the God of the universe had already set things in motion. As the ship sailed deeper into the sea, the skies turned dark and angry. Out of nowhere, a violent storm slammed into the vessel. Waves crashed like monsters against the hull, and the winds screamed through the sails. The sailors, tough men used to harsh seas, started to panic. They threw cargo overboard, shouted prayers to their gods, and fought to keep the ship afloat. Meanwhile, where was Jonah? Fast asleep, deep in the belly of the ship, as if none of it was happening. It's almost funny. The man running from God was sleeping through the very storm meant to wake him up. The captain found him and shouted, "What are you doing sleeping? Get up and pray to your God, maybe he'll notice us." But things were only getting started. The storm kept raging, and the sailors, desperate for answers, decided to cast lots, an ancient way of drawing straws to find out who was to blame for the chaos. The lots were tossed, and the finger pointed direttamente para Jonah. All eyes turned to him. Imagine the awkward silence as Jonah sighed and stood up. He looked around and said, "I'm a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land. I'm running away from him." The sailors were horrified. "You're doing what?" They couldn't believe it. "What should we do to stop this storm?" they asked. And Jonah, probably with guilt all over his face, replied, "Throw me into the sea. This is happening because of me." Now these sailors weren't cruel. They didn't want to toss a man overboard, especially one who just admitted he served the creator of the universe. So they tried, really tried, to row back to land. But the sea only grew wilder, like it was angry that Jonah was still aboard. Realizing they had no choice, the sailors cried out to God, Jonah's God, asking not to be punished for what they were about to do. Then, with heavy hearts, they picked Jonah up and threw him into the waves. And just like that, the storm stopped. The wind vanished. The sea went calm like glass. The sailors were stunned. This wasn't luck, this was divine. In awe, they began to worship the Lord, offering sacrifices and making vows to serve him. Meanwhile, Jonah sank into the deep. But Jonah's story wasn't over. While he was sinking into the dark, cold depths of the ocean, something massive moved through the water. God had prepared a great fish, maybe a whale, maybe something else entirely, to swallow him whole. In a moment, Jonah went from drowning to being swallowed alive. Inside the belly of the fish, it was pitch black, slimy, and filled with the stench of decay. No light, no food, no way out. Just Jonah, alone with his thoughts, and with God. 3 days and 3 nights Jonah sat in that strange prison, and there, in the gut of the great fish, he finally broke down and prayed. Jonah's prayer was raw and real. He cried out, "I called to the Lord in my distress, and he answered me. From the belly of the grave I cried for help. You threw me into the deep, and I thought I was done, but you brought up my life from the pit." In that slimy, suffocating space, Jonah had a heart-to-heart with God. He realized he couldn't run anymore. He surrendered. He thanked God for saving his life even after his disobedience, and in that moment of true repentance, God responded. He commanded the fish to spit Jonah out onto dry land. And just like that, the fish opened its mouth and vomited Jonah up on the shore. Covered in seaweed, sand, and regret, Jonah took a breath of fresh air, a second chance. Then, once again, God spoke. Same message, same mission. Go to Nineveh. And this time, Jonah didn't argue. He got up, dusted himself off, and set out for the city. After days of travel, Jonah finally arrived in Nineveh. It was massive. Imagine a city so big it took 3 full days just to walk through it. Towering walls, bustling streets, crowded markets, people from every corner of the empire, and all of them completely unaware that judgment was just 40 days away. Jonah walked in, looked around at this intimidating metropolis, and began to preach. His message was simple and direct. 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. That was it. No jokes, no sugarcoating, just truth, loud, raw, and urgent. But here's the twist. The people listened. To Jonah's absolute surprise, they didn't mock him or throw him out. Instead, a wave of conviction swept across the city. People stopped what they were doing, looked at each other, and realized, we've messed up. Word spread like wildfire. People began to fast, wear sackcloth, a rough, uncomfortable fabric used in times of mourning, and cry out to God. Even the king got involved. He stepped down from his royal throne, took off his luxurious robes, put on sackcloth and sat in ashes, a public sign of deep repentance. Then he made a powerful proclamation. Let no one, not even the animals, eat or drink. Everyone must call out earnestly to God. Turn away from evil and violence. Who knows, maybe God will change his mind and spare us. And you know what? God saw it all. He saw their sincerity. He heard their cries. He noticed the change in their hearts. And just like Jonah had feared, but also hoped deep down, God showed mercy. He forgave them. The destruction that had been planned was cancelled. The people of Nineveh were saved. No fire from heaven, no downfall, just grace, the kind that changes everything. But here comes the most human part of the story. Instead of rejoicing over the city's salvation, Jonah was furious. He stormed out of the city and prayed angrily. I knew it. This is why I ran in the first place. I knew you were gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and full of love. I knew you'd forgive them. Then, in dramatic fashion, Jonah said, just kill me now. I'd rather die than watch this city get mercy. God looked at Jonah and asked, gently but directly, is it right for you to be angry? Jonah didn't answer. He just marched off and sat down outside the city, building a little shelter for himself. He sat there, hoping, maybe, the city would still be destroyed. He was stubborn, upset, and missing the bigger picture, so once again God stepped in, this time with a lesson. God caused a leafy plant to grow beside Jonah's shelter. It sprang up quickly, providing cool shade over Jonah's head. For the first time in days, Jonah was actually happy. He sat in the shade, content and relaxed. But the next morning, God sent a little worm that chewed through the plant, and it withered away. Then, to make things more uncomfortable, God sent a scorching east wind. The sun beat down on Jonah's head, and he was absolutely miserable. Once again, he said, I'd rather die than go on like this. And God asked him again, is it right for you to be this angry about the plant? Jonah snapped, yes, angry enough to die. Then came the final lesson, the heart of the story. God said, you cared about a plant that you didn't plant or water, a plant that lived only one day. But Nineveh has over 120,000 people who don't know right from wrong, and animals too. Shouldn't I care about them? And with that question, the story ends. No dramatic conclusion, no reply from Jonah, just a lingering, powerful truth. God's mercy is bigger than our pride. His love reaches those we judge. And even when we run, complain, or resist, He patiently teaches us again and again how wide His compassion truly is.